which is Rabbitohs, defeat the Panthers 20-18. Holy heckers. This is such a good game to analyse because it's a compliment to both sides. And why I say it's a compliment to both sides is because what an incredible comeback by the Rabbitohs, even though they had the game in the bag. But the Rabbitohs near played a perfect 60 minutes or around that. Let's say 50 or 60 minutes. Latrell makes an error, Panthers score. Isaiah Tass, I'm pretty sure, makes an error, Panthers score. They get back in front. And so that's where you look at the Panthers and you go, these guys are ruthless. Like, these guys, you have to be perfect nearly to beat them because as soon as you make an error, they'll put points on you. Boom, just like that. But then the Rabbitohs come back and it's such a good compliment to them for, A, being able to swing momentum back, which is so hard to do against the Panthers. But also, as I said on Friday, sometimes there's great teams, there's great systems, and you can put all the research, all the math. You can sit down there for hours and hours and hours, and rehearse and repeat and do everything you can to create the perfect system. And sometimes a genetic freak comes along with footy smarts and goes, "There's levels to this." Breaks a game completely open, and there is nothing you can do about it. And that's not what Latrell Mitchell did on Thursday night.
This is fast becoming one of the best fixtures and rivalries in rugby league. So then obviously not the Bunnies and Panthers, historical rivals like, the Roosters and Bunnies might be, or so. They're them rivals that are born out of grand finals and then just repetitious, great fixtures. And, we spoke last week about the Battle of Brookie and how Manly and the Storm, what they've become over the years, they just hate each other. The Bunnies and Panthers just seems to deliver an unbelievable game every single year. See the Bunnies come out on the other end of it, as you said, due to one of the great finishes in rugby league, but one of the highest quality games of footy we've seen all season.
Easily.
Oh, my God, it was a good game of footy.
It was just... It was almost like, look, was it as good as the grand final in regards to quality when they played each other? Maybe a tier below that, but it's as close to that grand final quality you're going to get in regular season.
That first 20 minutes of the game where there just was hardly seemed to be a stoppage, I was sitting on the lounge with a stitch. I was buggered watching it.
Oh, mate.
Watching the poor old players out there, you're just going... somebody kick the ball out and give them a spell.
And it's just the ruthless nature of it. And the Bunnies, they must circle that at the start of the year and go, this is the game that we care about the most out of anyone, because they were outstanding. And I think they've kind of proven they're almost a little bit like the Eels this year to a degree. I mean, they were actually pre-Eels because they made a grand final when they lost by 52 weeks in a row or whatever. But when you see performances like that, and then you see last week's second half, you go, as long as they make the 8, they're a sniff. That's how good this... You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be periods where the Rabbitohs go terrible and you go, what the hell is this? But I just think they're a team you can never count out as long as they make the 8.
Big time. And we mentioned with the Knights last week the belief they would have got from almost knocking off Penrith. To go and beat Penrith, no matter what happens the rest of the year, and we mentioned it with Parramatta last year, you just now have the belief that you can win the comp. And there's no doubting it because you've beaten Penrith.
Penrith playing well too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about a Penrith that came off one of their worst performances in about 4 years.
No matter how bad a performance you might thought from time to time during the year, we've beaten Penrith. We can win this comp when we're at our best. So
it's similar to what happened with the Eels last year. And I know Penrith, when it mattered, got the job done. But Eels played the whole year with that confidence that, okay, yeah, we drop a few games here or there, but we beat Penrith twice. And then they get to a grand final.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. All right, let's talk about the Rabbitohs first, and then we'll talk about the Penrith Panthers. We spoke about it, but I honestly think if you could make the perfect rugby league player in regards to physical attributes, Latrell Mitchell would be close to it. Because, I think that, okay, yes, consistency. Let's say you take consistency out, because I don't think he's inconsistent. I just don't think he is Teddy consistent. So he goes 4 gun games and kills it, and then they have a quiet game. He's not good game, bad game, good game. So he's not inconsistent like that. But in a perfect world, you'd have Teddy's consistency. But disregarding that, and you go, okay, on their day of what they can do, similar to Tom Trbojevic, could you think... I mean, I think he actually has silkier ball playing than Tom Trbojevic. Could you think of a more perfect rugby league player?
Not at all. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, and he's incredibly naturally gifted. Like, he has every attribute you want. And the only minor knock on Latrell throughout his career, when you compare him, and we speak about it a little bit, to someone like Teddy, is just effort areas.
Yeah.
You know, a few effort areas in defence or like involvements that are always well down on someone like James Tedesco. But even now, you're seeing the last few weeks or like last month, he's starting to run 18 to 20 times a game. They're the effort areas where like, well, that was the only glitch in his game, and he's starting to rectify that.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I can't think of a player as big as him that has as much, you know, we often call it instinct, and it is instinct, but I think he's just got a lot of footy smarts that doesn't really get, put it this way, it's a knock, but it's also not a knock. The comment about Latrell is always like, yeah, but when the big moments happen, he makes them happen. He's there. You need to be footy smart to know that's the moment to take. Because like, if he's there for all the moments because he's doing 50, or if he's doing 30 hit-ups a game, you could say it's because of his fitness that he's getting those moments. But it's actually because he doesn't do 30 hit-ups. It's actually his footy smarts, how smart he is on the footy field, that makes him identify and feel that there's a moment here to be taken.
And he's got the arrogance as well on field, and this is a completely positive thing, not to be taken in the wrong way at all. He knows he's better than everyone.
100%.
When he gets the ball and he gets that glint in his eyes, like, I'm going to run over the top for you, or I'm going to beat 4 here and do whatever I want. Yeah. He knows how good he is.
He had 2 tries. Initially, it was 14 tackle breaks. Now it says 12. But 12 tackle breaks, a line break assist, 2 offloads, 5 tackles, 0 misses against the best defensive side we've seen in maybe ever. Seriously, maybe ever. And that's the stats Latrell just put up on them. Like, that's unheard of. It is incredible what he's able to do when he puts his mind to it. And also, what I loved about his performances is 2 things. I think there was a couple occasions where the one thing I've said about Trell's like, I wish sometimes he would just tuck the ball under. Like when he gets out the back, he'd tuck the ball under and just go. Because unfortunately, or ironically, it doesn't matter who he passes to, they're not going to be a better ball runner than he is. So sometimes you go, mate, you're the best ball runner on the field. Just run it. And I felt like on the weekend there were times where he said, you know what? I'm fucking just going to run it. The second thing I fucking loved, and it's not going to get talked about, all the flashy stuff's going to get talked about. The one where he bumped a bloke off, then flicked past around the corner, which was absolutely insane. It was the try-saving tackle at the end of the match where they were a player short, and most fullbacks, not just Trell because he's a bigger body and he has to, it's harder for a bigger body to move like him. Most fullbacks wouldn't have gotten across to be the winger in the situation. He got across so quickly, he became the winger and chopped down, I think it was Tungor or Taruva in a one-on-one tackle. That's a match winner. That's a match winner.
Yeah, and it's always been the knock on him. You want to see... We mentioned 2 weeks ago, I think it was the Doggies game where he supported for 2 of his tries, which isn't Latrell Mitchell's footy. Like, he scores tries because he runs over the top of people. He's too big, too fast, too strong, all that. But it's not around the effort areas. And we've gone, all right, he's starting to run 18 times a game. His support play, he's coming on leaps and bounds. Defensively, we've seen him in the past caught out at times in behind the line, covering whether it's defensively or kicks in behind the line. And he's starting to get on top of that as well. Like, we all know he can pull off the freakish plays, but it's the little effort areas like that. And now he's getting on top of that. It's like, well, how good can this bloke be?
Yeah, and I think the reason why people judge Trell so harshly is because he is great. He's 25.
No.
Dude, he's 25 years old. Like, we are talking about a kid. Other players would go, he may grow into his body and he'll grow into the effort areas and that. We're talking about a 2-time premiership winning, 3 grand finals, Dally M Centre, Origin Series winner, World Cup winner. He's done everything in the game. He's still only 25. He's just going to get, as long as he can stay. And also, for a big fella, outside of the big hammy injury, he's been pretty injury-free. he's just going to get better and better and better. It's just amazing. It's such a privilege to be able to watch Latrell Mitchell because I just don't think you see guys like him. We've gotten used to his silky ball skills. When was the last time we saw a guy that big, that silky? Never. I can't think. Like, tell me.
Yeah, probably never.
Tell me. Tell me a fullback that's 105 to 10 kilos or whatever that's doing no-look 20-metre cutout passes. Like, it's just incredible. It's incredible. Anything on Charlie Mitt?
Oh, I mean, you basically covered it. And we said it on Friday, like, he got dragged through the media and that, you know, after the game against the Storm, where ironically that was his most runs for the year. It's just Storm being Storm.
I think it was because it was the first half. He was a bit quiet.
The first half. But whether or not he reads it and it's a coincidence that he's been super involved since then, well, he's just seriously, he's just going, all right, well, someone's told him what he's realised. I'm the best player on the field. I can be the best player in the world if I want to be. And look what he's done in the last 3 weeks, especially against Panthers.
And that's why I understand where people are coming from when they get the inconsistency kind of thing. I get where you're coming from, but let's have a look at his last couple years when he's been playing. Like, the charge towards the finals was all on the back of Latrell last year. He came back, they went on a massive run. Like, that's, you know, fucking. No one talks about that, you know, because he's so good. He's so good. This year, he's had 2 quiet games. That, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's because he's so great. We all expect the greatness from him that we hope he can achieve, and I hope we're seeing that trajectory right now. And also in regards to like the reading of things, I don't know whether he has or whatever, but I hope he's taking a leaf out of the Michael Jordan playbook of, you know what? I'm going to be hated no matter what. So I'm going to read it and use it as fuel to go, fuck you.
It looks that way.
I hope he does. And the whole people like that get upset that he turns to the crowd and says something. He's not turning to a quiet crowd that didn't say anything. Yeah. He's turning to the crowd that's talking shit and he's going, boom, I just nailed it from the sideline. What have you got to say now? Like, that's what we love. This is rugby league. This is why we all watch sport. That's why sport is so good. So anyway, you don't have to love him, but you got to respect him.
Oh, yeah.
You got to respect him. Cody Walker, wow. That last play, for it to all come together like that, for him to be pushing through the way he did. Because, like, the thing with tries that, I guess, get scored to win the match is the defence know it's coming, and they still couldn't fix it. And then I felt stoked for Isaiah Tusk because he had a really poor game, unfortunately. I mean, until that moment, obviously. And he'd been such a stalwart for the Rabbitohs, such like an unsung hero, with Campbell Graham getting all the attention. Isaiah Tusk had just been doing so well. So I was stoked for him that he got to have that moment at the end there. But, yeah, Cody Walker, like, what more is there to say?
I threw up a clip the other day from last week's episode talking about Cody Walker, and we were talking about all his stats and how good we thought of him over the years and how consistent he's been, especially as an attacking player. And bloody hell, it just exploded with people saying, oh, yeah, but people just, for some reason, like to not like him and have his critics, and they were up him and just saying, oh, yeah, but he throws intercept balls and gives away games and doesn't come up clutch and stuff. And then I'm like, great for traction on the video.
yeah. Thanks, boys.
I couldn't believe it, like, just how upset people got. Yeah. And, like, not at us or anything. They were just going against Cody Walker. So then on the same week to set up the match winner against the dual reigning premiers, I was like, attaboy.
Yeah, attaboy walks. The thing is again, it's almost like the Luai situation. They're fiery on the field. They get in people's faces. Okay, sweet. But to try to claim that he isn't a top-tier, high-quality footy player... Oh, my God. Your emotions are getting the better of you, bro. Like, you're being too emotional. If you can't sit back and say that he is a fucking outstanding attacking weapon and in any generation would be dominant, you're crazy. You're just crazy. And unfortunately, there's some players in our game, until they win a premiership, they don't get the respect they deserve. And people forget how hard it is to win a premiership. And so, yeah, Cody Walker. If you can't, you don't have to love him. No one's ever saying that. But trying to pretend like he is not one of the best attacking weapons this game has seen in the last whatever years, it's just wrong. It's factually just wrong. Like, it's just not right. Yeah. Now, another shout out. I think Damien Cook's been outstanding this year. I thought he was going to have a big year, but I just think he's been so undersung in that side. It's
His service is so crisp.
Yep.
Like,
so fit.
I kind of feel bad that when we do talk about the hookers who give the best service to the halves or whoever it might be, we often Reid Marnie gets a lot of mentions, beautiful passer of the ball, but watching Cookie on the weekend, like, God, he passed just on the dot every single time on the chest.
Yep.
He is so good. Like, he'd
be the front runner, you reckon, for 9
that's what I was
at the
going to
moment?
say, yeah. I think so.
For the Blues?
No, I've always been a believer in Cookie. Even when he got dropped from the Blues, I'm like, I would be so happy to see him be the number 9 for us again.
I mean, I know since then I've gone, okay, well, maybe Reece Robson is the guy to come in now. But when Cookie did get kind of moved to the bench, I was surprised because he's always played well in Origin.
Gun.
Like, so I was surprised that it only took 1 or 2 games to no longer be trusted as the guy that could get the job done when, for 4 or 5 years now, there was very rarely a series where I would go, Cookie was pretty poor.
Like, Freddie will he loves that hooker rotation, doesn't he, having 2 of them there, but he can very easily go 80 if you want him to go in there. Like, let's say he does stick by Jerome Luai at 5'8". I think you're going to have Nico in there somewhere, and he's your 14. Well, Cookie can go 80 if need be.
Yeah, I like the rotation of a hooker, but you have to have the combo to do it. Yeah. And I just don't know whether... Does New South Wales have the combo to do it? Because Appy doesn't seem like an off-the-bench hooker, whereas Harry Grant seems like an off-the-bench hooker. Like, when you bring him on, he just explodes into games. That Ben Hunt, Harry Grant rotation, it's just almost like a match made in heaven. It works. And if New South Wales had a similar situation, I prefer the rotation due to the fact of the game speed being so high. But when you don't have people that complement each other, it's almost wasting a bench spot. You're wasting the whole makeup of your team, really, because you're going, well, got to carry... Well, for example, you couldn't bring Jackie Whiten onto the bench last year because you were carrying 2 hookers. Whereas if you weren't carrying 2 hookers, Jackie Whiten gets that 14 role 100%, no doubt.
Yeah.
But anyway, Cookie's been outstanding. Another guy won't get many raps, Hame Salo.
Wasn't he terrific?
Fuck, he was good. He was so good against such a tough forward pack. Every time I begin to doubt Rabbitohs' forward pack in regards to their ability to develop, because for some bizarre reason, and I'm guilty of it too, like, their young forwards don't get hype. Whereas, like, at other clubs, young forwards get a lot of hype coming through and rah-rah. Whereas Rabbitohs, they just continue to produce... Like, Tom Burgess only got, 33 minutes or something like that?
Wow.
And like, he came on towards the end for a little bit. Totola is still out.
Back next week.
Arrow in the middle. It's their ability to just continue to develop. And obviously, Jason Demetrio... The setup they've got going on there is just, it's really, really good. It's really, really good. I continue to underestimate Demetrio, his ability to develop these players and just continue to put out performances like that. So
their middles were outstanding. Mo Ali, again, 33 minutes, was really good. Sele, terrific. Cam Murray, 74 minutes against Penrith in a game. We spoke about the first 20 minutes in particular, how quick it was. Cam Murray plays 74 minutes, 17 runs, 40 tackles. Like, that is an enormous effort.
It's enormous. Like, look, you got Cheekham starting on the edge there. And like...
Cheekham and Host.
I always thought Cheekham was underutilised at the Tigers. For the life of me, I could not understand why he wasn't given an opportunity to cement a spot. I couldn't get it. He's so well-rounded. And now he's at the Rabbitohs. And, like, look, is he setting the world alight? Well, no, probably not. He's a little bit older now. And in his prime years, he probably would have done a bit more. But is he doing a job? Absolutely he's doing a job. Absolutely he's doing a job. So, and that's a sign of a really good system. It's a sign of a really good system. I mean, how stoked would you be if you're Michael Cheekham? Tigers don't want you. You get a shot at Rabbitohs and you could challenge for a premiership this year. How much more would you be enjoying your rugby league?
Yeah.
It's just... Tom Burgess, 32 minutes. 32 minutes. Like, incredible. Incredible. Rabbitohs, what a win. The whole game was outstanding. Now, on to the Panthers. I know it sounds a bit bizarre. First of all, Isaiah Yo's knock. Let me read you this knock. Knock for, honestly, for the ages. 22 runs, 188 metres. 46 post-contact. A tackle break. An offload. 45 tackles, 0 misses.
Jesus.
That is unbelievable. That is seriously, and no one's talking about it. That's how good this guy's become.
Yeah. In a game where, keep alluding to it, but with the speed of the game, with the amount of fatigue that must have been in it, not just to slip off one lazy tackle.
Not to slip off one. 80 minutes he played. 80 minutes.
Also, so Isaiah Yo's missed 4 tackles all year. All 4 of them were in the first round. So he hasn't missed a tackle since round 2.
Mate, he's on another level. I know I've spoken about it before on the podcast, and I don't care what anyone says. Well, I do care. Like, if you had a good argument, I would believe you. But when he came into grade, he was an okay first grader, almost fringy. Like, not a fringy, but like a guy that you just stick in there, he gets the job done, and that's it. His development, you could make the argument he's the most improved player of the last decade.
He's unbelievable, yeah.
Think about it.
But like even just playing 80 minutes as a middle in the current game, there are so few players that can do it. And I think we often go about like when prop forwards play big minutes because they might take a few extra hit-ups, but the Lock's doing just as much.
It is amazing. Like, think about this. He is so improved that didn't he play on the wing for City Country or something like that? Anyway, like he went from a battler that's just going to go in, do his job on the edge there because he was a wide running forward, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
initially.
for a long time.
Yeah, he did. He played on the wing for Country in 2016.
Tell me he's not the most improved player of the last decade. And look, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who have other people on, but he's definitely one of. I refuse to believe otherwise. He is now a back-to-back premiership winning. He is the heartbeat of that side. He is the heartbeat of that side. Like Cleary is the spear and the guy that can guide around. But if you don't have Isaiah Yo on that side, there's no way they're winning back-to-back comps.
Well, the Blues back row for years has been absolutely stacked, and there's just never even been the slightest question mark around Isaiah Yo's role in that side.
Yeah, I mean,
in that side.
He moves Murray to an edge.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking Cam Murray here, a future Australian captain potentially. So, what a knock by Isaiah. Hoskins, again, I thought he was good. Not as damaging, but got through a bunch of work, did his job. Cleary, wasn't Crichton a game of like defensively really poor, attacking without him, they get beaten by bloody 20 points. Or not 20, but 12 points or whatever.
Ball in hand, one of his best games in a long time.
Oh, he was outstanding, but defensively, like I know he got the chookies. He got the chockies when it mattered. Yeah. He got the intercept in the grand final that won it for him. But he had that used against him on the weekend. Cody Walker consistently used the fact that Crichton was going for that intercept at least 2 times, maybe even 3. And it's just one of those things where I think with Critter, I think we saw it early in the year. He was going for a couple of intercepts. I think sometimes just got to pull it back and go, you know what? Like the intercept, it's a glorious play and you get the highlights and it's great. Put it this way, if Critter defends well this game, it's one of the best games by a centre of the whole year. That's how well he played in attack.
Well, I've always been very critical of Critter defensively, in particular around the intercepts that he goes for, because as far as I'm concerned, mate, you get the one highlight reel moment from time to time where you run the field and look like a legend, and that's all good and well, but he lets a lot in going for it as well. So it essentially goes 1 for 1. If you let one in, well, you better be nailing the next one to score one to balance it out, because he was sensational on the weekend, ball in hand. But I think for a period, and we've said this before about him, just forget about the intercept. Unless it's on a platter for you, just focus on the read in defence.
Yeah, I reckon going forward, I'd just be saying, look, you don't want to clip a player's wings. Like I'm the last person to do that. but he scored 3 tries without having to worry about the intercepts. You know, he's got so much skill. And I want to be clear, his defense when he doesn't go for intercepts is some of the best defense in the comp.
His contact is awesome.
Is unbelievable. One-on-one, when you talk about, he usually, outside of a few blemishes, he usually holds up to any any centre in the comp. It's just that going for intercepts that kind of can hurt him a little bit, which feels harsh because he scored a bloody hat-trick. But I think it's because we're talking about a guy that's played Origin here. We're not talking about a...
And I'm looking at it from a perspective of, like, you look at now, we'll get to him later, but Tommy Turbo might be in a bit of doubt for Origin now. So all of a sudden, potentially a centre or a wing spot opens up, and Critter's obviously going to come into the conversation. And he's so good that, all right, what's going to make or break him getting into Origin? And you can guarantee Freddie Fittler's sitting there looking at it going, a few defensive lapses here, going for an intercept here or there. If you can get that out of his game, you're like, of course, get Critter in there because he's that good.
And also, he has the benefit of being To'o's centre.
So important.
Yeah, he is To'o because it's Tungo May usually, Tungo Turuva, or did they swap?
Yep, To'o right.
To'o's right, and so's Crichton, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, that your foot's already in the door.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? It's almost like just...
And Cleary.
And Cleary as well.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Yo.
So
So it's just like, mate, for the next... If I'm him, don't worry about any of those big plays. Just defend really well and you put your front foot... Like, mate, I'll tell you what, doesn't it open up for Campbell Graham now on that centre position?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
Thank you, straight in.
And, you know, what's interesting is that what does Campbell Graham do really well? The real fundamentals, strong fucking D, you know, good ball running. So, because I would actually say athletically, you give Critter the edge. Athletically.
For sure.
Yeah. So, what a battle. What a fucking battle for that centre position.
I'm going Campbell Graham.
At the moment, I'm going Campbell Graham for sure. But that Crichton combo, it's very enticing. On the edge, defensively, what do we always talk about? Knowing when someone jams in or not jams in. If you've played with someone for a while,
It's big.
It's big. Like, for example, spoke about this on the captain's run a couple of weeks ago. So all year at the Broncos, I was defending outside Darius. And so Darius, very vanilla defensive centre. Basically like up and in or up and slide. You knew exactly what he was going to do and he did it early to make sure that you knew. If we missed it together. Later on in the year, probably final series, I think Wayne wanted to shore up both edges, so both wings. So he put Darius on the other wing, put me on the other wing, and Hodjo became my centre. Now, Hodjo, a bit flashier, a bit, you know, you could even say higher level, or not, maybe, definitely one of the best centres ever. But Hodjo, so we get to the prelim, or the semi or whatever, against Melbourne Storm, and Cam Smith spoke about it in his book. It's one of the hardest, best games he's ever played in regards to as a competition. One of the boys drops the ball in the last 5 minutes. We're short on numbers by at least 2 people. We've got GI marked up against Hodjo, or at least GI is running at Hodjo. But anyway, the ball comes out our edge. We're short on numbers. Hodjo dummies to jam, then takes a step back. But because I hadn't defended out him for a long period of time, as soon as he took that step forward, boom, I went too. Like what a winger should do. And that's, if I had played with Hodjo for a longer period of time, I would have known Hodjo has that dummy in him, and to just make sure, like, take 2 steps instead of 1 step before I decide to go. And it's just, and obviously they score, they win, they go through. It's just an example of like how important time together matters.
And Matt, we speak so much in this show about combinations, and generally it's in reference to attacking combinations, but defensive combinations. You just highlight that so well, the importance of it.
Oh, mate, it is so
you're right, when
important.
it comes to Origin and potentially Critter at centre with To'o and Cleary, it'll go a long way.
Oh, mate, because does Cleary defend on that edge, or is it Jerome?
Cleary.
Cleary's on the right.
Yeah, so they can go the whole right edge of Penrith,
Oh, my
essentially.
God. So you just,
And Liam Martin. Oh. Hammy pending.
Yeah, hammy pending. So you could, essentially, if you're Ivan, you sit down with Critter and you go, Critter, just defend your ass off. That's all that matters.
Get it right, you probably play Origin.
You probably play Origin.
If Turbo's out too, you could easily have, if Campbell Graham is capable of playing on a wing, which he can, then you can stick him outside of Latrell.
Trelly Mitt and Campbell Graham. Actually, that's fucking, I don't mind that, because then you got Rabbitohs combo.
Yeah.
And then you got Panthers combo on the other edge.
Yeah, because you got Cam, Latrell, Campbell Graham.
Look, personally, I think you get Jared Croker in there.
Could be the first time you've said some sensible shit on this podcast, mate. Make it happen.
I don't care what anyone says. If Croker was a Queenslander, he would have at least played one game of Origin. I honestly believe that.
There's time. There's
still time. Hey, his defence has been outstanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really, really interesting in regards to Critter's game. Cleary, great again. Cleary's running game is so underrated, I reckon. Anything else that stood out for you for
just
Spencer Leniu off the bench? Holy shit.
The Spencer Leniu run. Holy dooly.
Oh my God. You don't see that in the NRL.
Oh,
far out.
Just obliterated about 4 blokes.
He must have been sitting on the bench just angry, just going,
yeah. Because remember Tane Milne smacked him across the face in the prelim and Tane got sent and Spencer was pissed off because he thought he was going to get... Yeah, so maybe he had that in the back of his mind too.
Yeah, wow.
Talk about a momentum change. They scored, I think, the next tackle, Crichton on the right edge.
Mate, yeah, talk about, you got a job to do. Talk about doing your job and doing it well. Yeah, I thought Spencer Leniu off the bench was outstanding. You know who else I reckon is actually going into a decent kind of strong running forward is Jermaine Salmon. Like, there's a few times I go, like 2 years ago, I'd go, he just doesn't have the strength in contact. This year, there's been a couple of times where I'm going, he's pretty strong in contact now, which is good for the Panthers. Sonny Luke, I do think that it's great. His defense was really good, 22 tackles, 0 misses. I wonder how they get more time with him, Cleary, and Luai together, because he's so crafty out of 9. But it's just looking like it's almost like a Hodgson effect in regards to, like, they're playing good, but sometimes when Cleary needs the ball, Sonny will decide to, you know what I mean?
He's the long-term 9 for them, and at the moment, they're playing better footy when Mitch Kenny's probably playing the bigger minutes and just giving, it's very Hodgson effect, just giving early service to Luai and Cleary and not overplaying his hand. But, Sonny Luke is the long-term 9 at Penrith. So do you just make the call and go, all right, do that rotation that Kenny did with Appy even in the grand final where he came off the bench and go, all right, Mitch, Kenny, you play the first 25, then we bring on Sonny for 55 straight.
Yep.
There will be, errors, there'll be chinks in the armour and in the combination early, but with, as you said, time. With every game they play together, the 1, the 6 and the 7, the 6, 7 and the 9, they'll get better and better and better. It's still a long way till NRL finals. Maybe just do it.
Yeah, it's a tough call. It's a tough call because you go... is it too soon to put Sonny there? But he is already 26.
Yeah.
Like, he's not young. 27, so he's not young. And as I said, he's absolutely not playing bad footy. But that combination sometimes it's almost like a stop-start car. You can see it going, and like, Cleary.
He wants to take off.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cleary and Luai coming onto the ball expecting it, and they said it's great stop-start.
Yeah, so I wonder how they're going to be able to, because you can see the potential. Because when it clicks, you basically go, is that Appy Coruscant back in the 9 jersey for the Penrith Panthers? So
they'll get it.
Of course, yeah, for sure.
The one other thing I want to touch on that, and I've seen it been meant to say something about for weeks, but this game it really highlighted for me. I love the short dropout, how much it's come into the game this season and making a contest every single time. But for God's sake, there's a time and place. Like, there are just some really ridiculous times that players are taking, and Latrell is a shocker for it. Love you, Trell, but like at 6-6 in that game, on a knife's edge, goes for the short one, out in the full, penalty goal, 8-6 Penrith lead. And you've given them what they want. That tight lead, they grit it out. Just pick your time.
Bro, I'm getting PTSD. Broncos, up by 10.
Yeah.
We're up by 10. There's 5 minutes to go. We're taking short dropouts.
Oh, what's it achieve?
I understand they must have done some math where, like, you actually increase your chances of getting the ball back. And maybe there definitely is. Smarter minds than us are clearly telling them to do these short dropouts. But I don't know, just fucking hoof it and just defend your asses off. At
6-6, though, defending your line, like to give them an easy 2-point lead. And look, like it might have been the Dolphins and Titans yesterday or whatever, and it might have been that game, and they were up by like 20, and you go the short dropout every day of the week because they're not going to take the 2, they're chasing points.
Yeah.
Or like, whenever that 2 point is going to come in, very important.
In
just
a tight
don't do
game.
it.
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
tight game.
They must have done a lot of math on it and found that like even when you drop out, they get to the 20 anyway. As in the kick or the 30, and by the second tackle they're on your 20.
Yeah.
So you may as well just kick to the 15-metre mark, and then, or maybe they've done math where defending on your line is easier because you don't have to get 10 metres back. I don't know.
I'm not convinced. Like you see it, I mentioned there when the scores were level. Like there'll be a team down by 6, and they'll do it, give away a penalty, take the 2 from in front. All right, 2 try margin now. So just pick your time and place.
When the Broncos were doing it, when we had the game in the 10 minutes, there's literally 5 minutes to go. We're up by 10 points, and we're doing short dropouts. You're just going, why? We don't need points. We just need to hold on. Anyway.